Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. I've had several people ask me, hey Jason, there's a few YouTubers who are talking about supplementing salt. Is this crazy or what? And then someone said, hey Jason, Scott Herman made a video yesterday about this. Will you go check it out? See what he has to say and give us the real skinny on it? So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing. Work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Scott Herman's one of those guys who my attitude did change about him a couple years back, a year or two ago. Because years ago, I saw him on YouTube, and he was doing some fluffy, pussy nonsense. And he was like doing stuff where he would put one plate on the side of a barbell and then bench press it like this with just one arm while holding the empty side up. And I saw that, and I'm like, that is the stupidest fluffy crap I've ever seen. Put some weight on there and bench the damn bar, Scott. And I called him a pussy. Later, he made a video saying he was setting a goal of hitting a raw beltless deadlift of 455. And you know what? I changed my stance. I said, Scott, you're no longer a pussy. You're actually doing some real stuff, some actual real lifting now. I can respect that. I can respect that. Because I'm like, hey, we have a YouTuber, one of these normally trendy fitness, fluffy, wuffy, twink looking dudes who's now going to go do some real lifting and actually set a respectable strength goal, beltless deadlift. I'm cool with that. It's like, you're all right with me, Scott. I haven't watched any of his stuff in about a year, so I don't know kind of where he's gone, but he did respond to that video and he appreciated the fact that I was applauding his efforts. So he made this video on salt. Overall, I went and watched it just a few minutes ago. I thought I would just do my video immediately after watching it. I have to kind of agree with him. When it comes to salt intake, this is something that we have a lot of confusion in society about because of hypertension, high blood pressure, stuff like that. Can definitely be an issue for guys on anabolics too, by the way, because testosterone can cause you to have elevated levels of aldosterone, which means your blood pressure effects from some of these anabolics can be exacerbated by too high of a salt intake. But yeah, sodium and potassium, both salt in general, is an absolute requirement for athletic performance. And that's one of the reasons you do see some guys who have too clean of an ultra bro diet. Maybe they're weaker in the gym than they should be. And it's simply because they lack muscle hydration. And as far as salt goes, yeah, I mean, excessive salt can be a problem. But excessive salt is also relative to how much you sweat, relative to your water intake, relative to your activity level. Really athletic, active people actually need more sodium. You need more sodium than the average person. It will absolutely impact your performance. And the interesting thing is, historically, this is one of the reasons we crave salt. One reason we crave salt, because what are the three things that we crave and what do we have taste buds for? Salty, fatty, sweet. Because those are the things that will keep us from starving to death. Salt increases appetite. Salt increases thirst, more importantly. It'll make you drink more water. Drinking more water is essential to health and survival. So something that makes you thirsty is a good thing, but we crave salt, and we have historically because salt depletion can kill you. And anyone who's had any sort of wilderness survival training, I don't care whether it's been in the civilian world because of some job you did, or someone who's been in the military or whatever, everyone who has any wilderness survival training knows that salt, when you get in a really hot, or in some cases too cold of an environment, not getting enough salt and not having extra salt with you can be a death sentence. All right, it can be a death sentence. You get in the wrong environment and you sweat out your electrolytes and you're out in the wilderness and you do not have access to other stuff. If you can't get salt in, you can die. Your heart can stop beating. This shit can kill you. You have to have it. We've been taught the opposite because of different things, and people worry about water retention and everything else. And again, a lot of bodybuilders focus too much on water retention. You know what? Just get leaner. Eat more carbs. Worry about filling your muscles with fluid, which is done by carbs, water, salt. So sodium, potassium, all of that stuff. That will keep your intramuscular water higher. It will give you better performance. It'll make you fuller. It'll make you look fuller. In addition to actually having bigger muscles that are actually capable of producing more force. When you have enough salt in your system and water in your system, your muscles perform better in terms of both strength and in terms of endurance. All right, so salt loading up to a certain extent, you don't necessarily have to add salt to your food. If you're eating enough normal foods, your sauces and everything else, it shouldn't be hard for people who are on high-calorie diets to get enough salt. Something I have to be aware of, because the amount of cardio I'm doing right now, I have to be very, very aware of my salt intake. Otherwise, I notice fatigue problems when I'm doing cardio, because I do about 3 hours of cardio a day right now. I actually have to be aware of my salt intake, and if I drop my sodium too low, I hit a wall easier in my own training every day, my own fatigue. So it's something I have to be aware of, and it's something I thought that everyone kind of knew. Like I thought everyone knew this in the performance world, that you need a certain amount of salt in your diet. You probably need 3,000, 3,500, maybe 4,000 milligrams of salt a day if you're very athletic. But it's everyone out there in the bodybuilding type world is scared of it because they're scared about subcutaneous water. But the reality is, if you drink a lot of water while salt loading, that doesn't actually happen. It really shouldn't be an issue at all. If you're getting enough calories so that you're getting potassium and everything too, you're consuming 5 grams of salt every day, and you're consuming enough water, you shouldn't have water retention issues like you're thinking of subcutaneous water. You should have intramuscular water, but that intramuscular water is going to make you bigger, and it's going to make you stronger. It's a good thing. It's not something people should be afraid of. So Scott's absolutely right on this, and I just take this for granted. I just assume everyone knows that's part of proper nutrition, just getting enough sodium and potassium in your diet. But maybe now that I think about it, so many people in the online fitness world are focused on this bodybuilding stuff that they don't realize that too low a salt will kill your performance. And if it's hurting your performance in the gym, you're going to be weaker, you're going to stimulate less muscle growth because you're going to be moving less tonnage per workout. You're not going to be able to do as long a cardio, so you're not going to burn as much fat when you're trying to use cardio to burn fat. It's overall not a good thing for your performance. Salt is absolutely essential. What he did point out is that he feels that one of the reasons people are so afraid of salt is because of the fear of sugar, which looks similar. Then that we should be worried about excessive refined sugar, and I agree with that. Refined sugar is not something you should be eating on a daily basis. Now you have all these, if it fits your macros, guys, and flexible diets, well, I consume whatever Pop-Tarts every day. Well, that's fine if you're accounting for it for your body composition. But if the only thing you give a shit about is your body composition, then I don't know why you guys don't just blast trend to you're crazy. Like, if you don't care if you live or die, you don't care if you get cancer or diabetes or anything else, you don't give a shit about dying, then what's the point of even being natty? Like, why aren't you just blasting tons of trend? So what if you're going to die in 20 years from it? If that's your logic. So I don't get that mindset of the flexible dieters. Well, I don't care about body composition, I don't care about my health. Look, if you're eating Pop-Tarts and shit every day and you don't really have the caloric need for it, I understand someone with a low appetite who's an endurance athlete maybe eating junk food. I get that. They're eating it because they need it for training fuel. But if you're eating it just to fit it in and you want to eat a bunch of shit like that, don't complain when it harms your health in the long term. Not healthy to eat tons of refined sugar. I don't care how much you're burning. It's not a good idea. Tons of refined sugar combined with a lot of saturated fat, that's a recipe for death. We know that from all the scientific literature. That's a terrible combination. But you see a lot of flexible dieters who do that, but it's like, look, in all honesty, most people should moderate their refined sugars. I'm not saying you need to eliminate it completely from your diet, but it's certainly something you need to limit. Certainly something you need to limit, and it's not something you need to be consuming on a daily basis. You know what? Everyone likes a treat every now and then. That's fine. But you probably shouldn't be eating Pop-Tarts and Frosted Flakes every single day. You probably shouldn't be putting 2 spoons of sugar into your morning coffee. Let's just be realistic here. That does contribute to the obesity epidemic. It contributes to our diabetes problem. I'm not saying it's the sole cause, but it sure is a contributing factor. So maybe Scott has a point there. It is stuff that people need to be concerned about. But yeah, as far as sodium intake goes, you absolutely need a fair amount of sodium in your diet if you want to perform optimally as an athlete. All right, and if you are training seriously, like you do serious weightlifting, serious cardio to any serious extent, even if you're just a hobbyist, you're still trying to be athletic, and you should probably think in those terms as far as your diet goes. The things that you need to fuel your training, fuel your performance, fuel your recovery, fuel your muscle growth, you do need to be thinking in those terms, and sodium and potassium are part of that. And that is true. A lot of guys who are very physique-oriented probably do not consume enough salt. It is actually something a lot of them are deficient in, and it probably does hurt their performance. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.